The final whistle echoed around the stadium. Spain had done it. After years of chasing football's biggest prize, they were officially FIFA World Cup champions. The celebrations had already begun. Players were embracing each other, fans were crying with joy, millions around the world were watching history unfold. But within moments, the focus shifted away from the champions. Instead of celebrating one of the greatest World Cup finals ever played, the football world was left talking about something completely different. A post-match confrontation. Players pushing each other, tempers boiling over, and scenes that quickly spread across social media. Which should have been remembered as Spain's greatest football achievement suddenly became overshadowed by controversy. And that was only the beginning. Because after the final, some of football's biggest names began speaking publicly. Former World Cup stars, legendary managers, television pundits, and even players who were directly involved all shared their opinions. Some believed FIFA had no choice but to take action. Others argued emotions simply exploded after one of the biggest matches in football history. But almost everyone agreed on one thing: the events after the final damaged the image of the game. Today, we're breaking down everything that happened, what football legends actually said, how Argentina responded, and why FIFA's investigation has become one of the biggest talking points since the 2026 World Cup ended. Let's begin. Spain's victory was hard-earned. After an intense and closely contested final, Spain defeated Argentina 1-0 after extra time to lift the World Cup trophy. For the Spanish players, it was their greatest moment of their careers. For Argentina, it was heartbreaking. After fighting through the tournament and reaching another World Cup final, their dream ended just minutes away from penalties. The disappointment was obvious. Many Argentine players collapsed onto the pitch. Some were in tears. Others stood in complete silence. Losing a World Cup final is one of football's toughest experiences. Every player dreams of lifting that trophy. Only one team gets to celebrate. But what happened next quickly became the biggest story of the night. As Spain celebrated their historic victory, television cameras captured heated confrontations involving several players from both sides. Reports from multiple broadcasters and media outlets described pushing, arguments, and physical altercations after the final whistle. Several incidents involving Argentine players and members of the coaching staff were widely shared online and replayed across international television. The celebrations had barely begun, yet the spotlight had already shifted away from football. Within hours, videos of the confrontation were trending across the world. Fans debated who started it. Former professionals began giving their opinions. Sports channels spent more time discussing the chaos after the match than the football itself. And then, another major development arrived. FIFA confirmed it had opened a disciplinary investigation into the incidents that occurred following the World Cup final. That announcement changed everything. An emotional moment was no longer just a football debate. It had become an official disciplinary matter. At the time of recording, FIFA is reviewing the incidents and has not yet announced any final disciplinary decisions. Possible sanctions, if any, will depend on the outcome of that investigation. Still, the announcement immediately triggered intense discussion throughout the football world. Would players receive suspensions? Would fines be issued? Could future international matches be affected? Nobody knew the answers, but speculation spread rapidly. Former players, coaches, and analysts all began weighing in. Some defended the emotional reactions that come with losing the biggest match in football. Others argued that representing your country also means accepting defeat with dignity. And that's when the football world truly began speaking. Some of the biggest names in the sport publicly criticized what they had seen. Others called for FIFA to send a strong message, while a few believed the punishment should end with what happened on the pitch. The debate had officially begun, and over the next few days, the opinions of football legends would make headlines around the world.
Within hours of the World Cup final, the conversation had changed. Fans were no longer talking only about Spain's historic victory. Instead, television studios, football podcasts, radio shows, and social media were all asking the same question: did Argentina go too far? Around the world, some of football's biggest names began sharing their opinions. And while each person viewed the incident differently, one message appeared again and again: Football is emotional, but respect for your opponent should never disappear. One of the first football legends to comment was Thierry Henry. A World Cup winner himself, Henry knows exactly what it feels like to compete on football's biggest stage. He understands the pressure, the emotions, and the heartbreak that comes with losing a final. Speaking about the controversy, Henry suggested that emotions can sometimes overwhelm players, but he also stressed that every footballer has a responsibility to maintain respect, especially during moments watched by millions of young fans around the world. His message wasn't simply about punishment, it was about protecting the image of football. Because when children watch a World Cup final, they should remember incredible goals, great saves, and unforgettable celebrations, not post-match confrontations. Henry's comments quickly spread across football media, and many supporters agreed with his balanced approach. Then came a much stronger reaction. Former England captain Wayne Rooney didn't hide his opinion. Rooney argued that football's governing bodies must send a clear message whenever players cross the line after a major final. In his view, every international player represents not only themselves but an entire country, and because of that responsibility, discipline matters. His comments immediately sparked debate. Some fans applauded his stance. Others believed emotions after losing a World Cup final should be viewed differently. The discussion only grew louder. Then, one of football's most outspoken personalities joined the conversation, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. As always, Zlatan didn't choose careful words. He delivered his opinion with the confidence that has defined his entire career. While his comments reflected his own unique personality, the overall message remained clear. Competitive football demands passion, but passion should never become uncontrolled aggression. Whether people agreed with Zlatan or not, his reaction quickly became one of the most discussed moments in football media that week. Meanwhile, former players working as television analysts also gave their verdicts. Broadcasters across Europe replayed the incidents repeatedly. Experts analyzed every angle, every replay, every confrontation. Many described the scenes as disappointing, especially considering the occasion. This wasn't an ordinary league match. This was the FIFA World Cup Final, the biggest stage in football. Then, attention turned towards Spain's camp. Instead of celebrating their victory alone, Spain's coaching staff also addressed the controversy. Head coach Luis de la Fuente praised his players for keeping their composure despite the heated atmosphere after the final whistle. Without focusing on individual opponents, he emphasized that respect remains one of football's most important values. His comments received praise from many supporters who felt the winning team had avoided making the situation even worse. As the days passed, the debate continued growing. Some former professionals believed FIFA should hand out significant suspensions if the investigation confirmed serious misconduct. Others argued that emotions after a World Cup final are impossible to fully understand unless you've experienced them yourself. One side wanted strict punishment, the other wanted understanding. And somewhere between those two positions, FIFA investigators began reviewing everything: video footage, match reports, official statements, and referee observations. Every piece of evidence would help determine whether disciplinary action was necessary. At this stage, no official sporting sanctions had been announced. The investigation remained ongoing. But the football world wasn't waiting for FIFA's final decision. Everyone already had an opinion. Fans defended their favorite players. Critics demanded accountability. Television debates became more intense every day, and social media exploded with arguments from supporters across the globe. The World Cup had officially ended, yet one of its biggest stories was only getting started. Because while football legends were giving their opinions, many people were waiting to hear something even more important. What would Argentina say? Would the players apologize? Would they defend their actions? Or would they remain silent?
As the football world continued debating the dramatic scenes after the World Cup final, everyone was waiting for one thing: Argentina's response. Would the players publicly apologize? Would they admit emotions got the better of them? Or would they defend what happened? Over the following days, several members of Argentina's squad and coaching staff spoke publicly. Some players shared emotional messages thanking supporters for standing behind the team throughout the tournament. Others expressed pride in reaching another World Cup final after an incredible campaign. For many Argentine fans, those messages reflected the passion and unity that had carried the team through another unforgettable tournament. However, many football observers noticed something else. Most of those public statements focused on the team's effort, their commitment, and their pride in representing Argentina. Critics argued that there was very little direct discussion about the post-match incidents themselves. That became another talking point across football media. Some believed an apology could have helped calm the controversy. Others argued that emotions were still too raw immediately after such a painful defeat. One member of Argentina's coaching staff did express regret over his actions. He admitted that emotions had taken control during those chaotic moments after the final whistle. For some observers, that was an important first step. For others, it simply wasn't enough. The debate continued. Meanwhile, FIFA's disciplinary process quietly moved forward. Officials began reviewing match reports, broadcast footage, and evidence collected after the final. Every incident would be examined individually. Every player involved would be assessed separately. It's important to understand, at the time of this video, FIFA has opened an investigation, but no final disciplinary decisions have been officially announced. That means any suspensions, fines, or other sanctions remain subject to FIFA's final ruling. Until that decision is made, everything else remains speculation. Still, football experts have pointed out that FIFA's disciplinary code allows for sanctions when players or officials are found guilty of violent conduct or misconduct after matches. The severity of any punishment depends entirely on the evidence and each individual's role in the incident. That's why fans around the world are watching closely. Whatever FIFA decides, its ruling could become an important precedent for future international tournaments. Should emotional outbursts after major finals receive stronger punishment? Or should governing bodies recognize the extraordinary pressure players experience on football's biggest stage? There are passionate arguments on both sides. Some believe discipline must come first. Others believe one emotional moment should not define an entire generation of footballers. And perhaps that's why this story has become so fascinating, because it's no longer just about one match. It's about sportsmanship, responsibility, leadership, and how football's biggest stars should behave when the pressure reaches its highest point. Despite all the controversy, one fact remains unchanged. Argentina had another remarkable World Cup campaign. Spain produced a championship performance worthy of history. Both teams gave football fans unforgettable memories throughout the tournament. Unfortunately, the final moments after the whistle became part of that story as well. Now the football world waits. Everyone is watching FIFA. Supporters, players, managers, and millions of fans across the globe. Sooner or later, a final decision will arrive. When it does, it could shape how future World Cup controversies are handled for years to come. Until then, the debate continues. Was this simply the emotion of losing the biggest match in football, or should stronger action be taken to protect the image of the game? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Should FIFA issue suspensions if the investigation finds serious misconduct, or should the events be remembered as an emotional ending to an unforgettable World Cup? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest football news, World Cup updates, and exclusive analysis. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.